first clock radio back in like 1929. In 1931, we introduced the first electronic clock. Clocks that are still actually in use today in many train stations throughout the country. And then one of the last things we did was we were also at the front of the marketing arena. The first television commercial ever broadcast was in 1941, just before a Philadelphia Phillies Brooklyn Dodgers game. And it was that picture that you see on the slide there, America Runs on Bulova time. And that ad cost us $9 at the time. Yes, sir.
So are you saying TV commercials are your fault?
Yeah, I guess I'm saying that. You're absolutely correct. TV commercials are our fault, as well as radio commercials. So everybody's familiar with the calendar designations. Everybody knows how the calendar works. You have BC, before Christ. You have AD, Anno Domini, or in the year of the Lord. But what does BP stand for? Well, BP is what we use at Bulova, and that's before ProSel. I should have been in the improv group before I got. So what happened, what did we do at Bulova before ProSel? Well, we sent our reps out in the field with a number of items. They had a Lenovo laptop, which they carried with them. On the laptop, they had all their marketing material. They had their television commercials, some sell sheets, PowerPoint presentations and whatnot. They also had a PDA. I saw the picture of the MC70 before. It's a device that we've used now for 2007. So about 4 or 5 years we were using the MC70 along with the Zebra 320. And besides that, they also carry their sample line. You know what 300 watches looks like in a watch case. Try carrying around 300 watches at a clip. It's heavy. It's heavy. And it's a lot. So with all of that equipment, with all the samples, and the fact that the MC70, while a great device, for my sales force who's out there making a presentation to the independent jeweler, he's dressed up in his nice suit and tie, and he's got this great luxury line that he's selling, and then he takes out the MC70, and it didn't all mesh together right. So back, it was in 2011, it was November of 11, where the IT department was actually challenged to go out and find something that was going to make the selling aspect for the sales reps better. Okay, and we looked at a couple of different things. But the one thing that our users were saying is they wanted one device. They didn't want to carry the PDA. They didn't want to carry the printer, which they use just to print receipts. And some of those printers I got back with the same original rolls of paper that we sent out 5 years ago. Some of the guys didn't use it. They wanted to be able to access their emails from the road. They wanted to be able to view account profile information. They just wanted the one device. And we took a look at, we figured it was going to be a tablet. And that at the time, November of 11, we were looking at either some type of Android device or the iPad. Now, my colleagues in the IT department, my techie colleagues, wanted no part of Apple. Apple is the devil. Apple has the control. They like having the control. And they don't have that control with Apple. Okay? They wanted to go with an Android device. Quite honestly, I just need something. I could care less which way we went. But the fact of the matter is Android, I think Dan touched on it a little while earlier, is that with the Android device, you have the operating system, but you have it on many different devices, many different flavors, and it just, for something like this, something this new, you needed the control. And Apple provided that control. The other thing, too, that I forgot to mention is that if they couldn't get Android, they were willing to settle on Microsoft. Well, like I said, this was November of 2011. We needed to roll out for January of 2013. We knew it would be October 2012 Microsoft rollout date. There wasn't going to be enough time. So that wasn't an option. So ultimately, they came around and said, you know what? Based upon what's out there now in the marketplace, based upon the apps that are out there, Apple's the way to go. And that's the decision we made. We went with the iPad. Okay? So now we get the iPad. We can load presentations onto it. They can go out and show our television commercials which we love to talk about. They can show our print advertising. They can show catalogs. It has a camera. Our guys have to go out. They have to take pictures of the jewelry case where they're placing product. That's like one of the new things that they've been requested to do over the last few years, because we wanted to make sure that they still weren't selling into Bob's Pretzel Shop, which ironically they did at some point. There's a store out there that sold pretzels and watches. Don't ask me how, but it did. A salesman will sell anything, anywhere to get the sale. Okay? It's a portable device. Okay? So it basically did everything that they were looking for it to do, except we still had one missing piece of the puzzle. How are they going to take orders? How are they going to go out to the customer, show them all this neat stuff, and then take the order? We weren't going to give them back the paper and pen. That wasn't going to fly. So we needed something to put on the iPad to take orders so that they can take the orders, transmit them in, and then they'll be uploaded into our ERP system. Which, by the way, we use J.D. Edwards, and we're an iSeries, on an iSeries. Okay. So what did we do? For the software, we said we need an application that's going to be able to allow them to take the orders. They need to be able to look at customer information. They need to look at sales history. Okay? Everything I just said, they need to look at credit limits. They need to be able to have this all at their fingertips. And there was really, we looked at four possible solutions out there. And it came down to two. Okay? And I spoke with the first group. I'm not going to mention their name. And what they did say was, we cater to the jewelry business. That's great. You guys are going to be awesome. And the first thing they said to us was, what does Bulova do? And when I hear that, I'm like, that's not going to work. And then we had the phone conversation with Ray Walsh. And it was great. Ray got on the phone, gave us a presentation. All right, we had a WebEx presentation, and it was like our prayers were answered. This can't be, it can't be true. We found something off of the shelf that's going to give us everything that we need out of the gate. So what was that? It was ProSel. Okay? ProSel met our needs. Okay? It's easy to use. And when I say easy to use, I got to tell you a little bit about my U.S. sales force. First of all, we have ProSel now in 3 countries. Okay? We're supposed to be 4 out of the gate. Italy. I'm not even going to touch on the Italians right now. I don't want to go there. I'm half Italian myself. I can if I wanted to, but I don't want to. But we rolled it out to the US, which is a sales force of about 35. Canada, sales force of 10. And the UK, sales force of 6. My US sales force really is the ones that drive all the decisions, because that's where the bulk of the business is done. And my US sales force ranges from 30 years old to 75 years old, I believe is the oldest guy in the sales force now. Guys that have been with the company over 40 years. So I had a really wide range of users that I had to cater to. And change at Bulova is no different than change in some of your own organizations. Sometimes it's difficult for these guys to accept it, okay? But I gotta be honest with you, when we rolled ProSel out, gave them the iPads, we went through the training at the sales meeting, 3 days down in Boca Raton. And it was 1 day of training for hardware and for software. These guys were pumped when they left. I couldn't believe it. Because I was here back in 2007 when we rolled out the MC70s, okay? And I was here, not in IT, but I was a user when they rolled out laptops. And they gave these guys mice to attach to it. And the guy said, I'm not touching the mouse, Now, the issue I had with the iPad was, I was afraid the guy was going to put his finger through the screen because they would be tapping and pushing. No, relax. This is your new friend. So, ProSel met our needs, okay? What's nice about it is that we're able to, obviously, pass the information that we want our reps to see into ProSel. Okay, so we give them the sales data they need, then we give them the credit information they need, we give them the item information we need. When a rep says, it's great, you gave me all this item information, but I need to see inventory levels, no problem, give them inventory. We had another request that they were looking for some type of receipt to be emailed to the customer. We're working on that now, okay? Because in the past, they used to have to carry a zebra printer. Some guys used it, some guys didn't. Now, all the guys will have it at their fingertips that they can just email or receipt out. Great stuff, easy to use. Next. It's improved our efficiency to enter orders. Prior to ProSel being implemented with the old MC70 system, I have to say that 40% of the orders were entered on the MC70. The other 60% were still entered by Margie. She's the person that sits in our office and types in the orders that get faxed in. We had to move away from that. We really did. And ProSel has allowed us to do that because really reps have taken to using it. They find it easy to use. They send the orders in. The orders, we have an interface between the SQL server that ProSel sits on and our ERP system, and automatically it happens. And the reps love it. The reps love it. Before, they could fax in an order. It might sit in a basket a day or two before it got entered, depending on, it was fourth quarter. It's our busy time of the year. Now the orders, they come in every hour, and they love it. Okay. It gives them multiple choices to enter the items. They can enter style number. Our style numbers are pretty small. They're only 6 characters. Okay? So they can manually enter an item. They can scan. We provided the guys. We had a test group back in October when we were going to roll this out. We picked 3 guys. We said, okay, here's what you could do. You can either enter the item or you can tap on the images. Okay? No, it's not going to work. You need a scanner. Went to Ray said, you got to look at the socket Bluetooth scanner. We provided them with the scanner. So they have 3 possible ways to enter items onto an order. And I kid you not, it's probably a third on how to do it. All right? They could build orders from history. They didn't have that before. Before they had to pull up the laptop, they had to wait for that to boot up, okay? They had to go sign on to our system, get into our BI program, and pull up the order history for an account. Then they had to take that, maybe print that out before they got to the customer, and then bring it with them and then compare it to what was in the case and scan it. Is that enough? It was a pain. Now they can pull up order history. We give them 3 years of order history right now. And the guys love it. They love the fact that they can go in, tap on order from history, and they can see all the items that their customer has ordered in the past 3 years. It also facilitates an interactive conversation with the customer. This one just blew me away because I had one of my reps down in Miami who's been in the company a very long time, who was one of the guys that was not going to use this device. He hated it. They're going to track me. They're going to watch what I'm doing. I don't want to use it. I said, Jay, relax. It's not that bad. Within a week, he called me and said, hey, Lenny, this thing's great. I sit down with the customer. I take the order. He goes, hey, let me see that. He's tapping. Next thing you know, he's adding items to the order. I was like, Jay, if I could sell you, I could sell anybody on this. And we've seen that, it wasn't just my guy down in Miami who said that, but I've heard that from other reps too, where they now have, the customers really interested to say, what do you guys are carrying iPads now? Wow, that's cool, let me see that. So it's definitely getting more dialogue going between the sales rep and the customer. As I mentioned earlier, it takes a lot less time to get orders into the system now, as opposed to the old faxing in and wait for Margie to type them in. The acceptance rate now is over 90%. Over 90% of our orders that come in from our independent jewelry trade class are now sent in via ProSel. That's great. We're very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Okay. Quicker entry obviously leads to quicker fulfillment. Quicker fulfillment leads to the product being out in the case. It's out in the case, it's going to sell. It's going to lead to reorders. It's not rocket science, basic stuff. But it's the stuff that you don't think about. It's the stuff you take for granted. But this is really what ProSel has allowed us to do. Next. As we were in the midst of rolling this out, we came across something that Accenture had published back in July of 2012. And he said that high-performing organizations will use mobility to increase deal size, decrease sales cycle timelines, and profitability improve sales activity. I think I just went over that in the last few minutes and talked about that. And they're saying that. And to back that up, Gartner came out with a study not too long ago, where they said by the year 2014, 20% of all organizations will make use of some sort of mobile device with sales order taking. 20%, 1 in 5. On a platform that quite honestly was introduced with the iPad back in 2010. In 4 years, the acceptance rate is going to be, from 2010 to 2014, the acceptance rate is going to be 1 in 5. That's pretty incredible. And as the statement says, high-performing organizations or better organizations are going to realize that, and they're going to jump on board. ProSel is really one of those. AI2 is an organization that realized that. All right, we realized that. That's why we went with AI2, and we continue to reap the benefits in a very short period of time. We're only live since January 10th, and have we had our hiccups? Absolutely. Every system does, but the support that we've been given, we've actually added some features to it, which the folks, Dan Kadich and Dorothy, have assisted with, and has really made it an application, again, that my sales reps love. It's helped increase their business. It's helped increase the communication between the customer. So, if you guys have any questions on what we did to successfully implement this application, by all means, pass them on, because I'd love to tell you how we were able to do it. I'd love to hear how some of you guys have done it, and I'd love to hear how some of you guys are in the midst of doing it. Because I think the whole part of this is to collaborate and learn together to make this even better than it already is. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, anyone? All right, you can clap.